Good evening. Today is Tuesday, August 20th, 2019. We are about to begin our regular town board meeting. It's now almost 6:10. So if we could start, we have Baiting Hollow Camp. We have a couple scout troops with us here today. I believe 2 scouts are going to come up and lead us in the pledge. If you could come forward. Do you guys just want to introduce yourselves first?
I'm Robert Camlet.
Do you want to, actually, can you do it to the mic?
Yes.
Sure.
Hello.
Hi.
I'm Robert Camlet, Troop 205, East Islip.
And my name's Julia Kerbalani, Troop 186, out of Wantagh, New York.
Okay, thank you.
Welcome to Riverhead.
So we will all stand if you could lead us in the pledge.
All those in uniform, please salute. All those not in uniform, right hand over your heart. Salute. Pledge. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
And could you guys just tell us why you're here today? I know you're here for some couple of badges. Do you know the badges?
We're here to learn about how board meetings operate and what you guys go through to regulate laws and all that.
Oh, boy.
And use your taxes.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Hope
Very
you have
good.
a pad on you.
Are they supposed to operate, or how they do operate?
Thank you very much.
You ever watch Sausage?
All right, Jim, I will turn it over to you.
And part of our meeting, and whenever we have a gathering, we always ask for an invocation from our faith-based community, which Riverhead has a very large faith community, and we're very proud to have with us the Pastor Rick Saladon from the Living Water Gospel Church right here in Riverhead. Rick?
Thank you.
Supervisor Smith, distinguished council people, Town Attorney
And town.
Kazakovich, and Town Clerk Wilhelm. Thank you for having me here today. I am Riverhead born and raised. I was born here. I've lived here my whole life. I love this town, and so it's a great honor and a privilege for me to be able to pray for the opening of this meeting. Thank you. So, Father, we thank you, Lord God, above all, that we want to see Riverhead blessed. We want to see it prosper. We want to see the members of our government work together in unity to bring about the best possible outcome for this town. Bless them as they discuss the matters of this town. Lord, let your power and your grace be upon them and wisdom. This we ask in Jesus' name. Amen.
Amen.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Thank you,
Thank you,
Pastor.
Pastor Saladon.
I have announcements, which I have in my package. Diane, do you want to start with the correspondence, then I'll do the announcements?
Oh,
I just
sure,
have to find them.
okay. Under correspondence, Barbara Reynolds sent a letter requesting a traffic light at the intersection of Forest Avenue and Route 58. And as a matter of fact, I got a second letter on that same issue, and that was from Katie Ordman. And then there was Natalie Marie Elensky, and Dean Turchunian. They sent a letter requesting guidance and offering input for improvements and renovations to Bear Estate Park. John McCullough sent a letter offering input on the Gramasian's business model and funding of the EPCAL property. Joan Zaneski sent 2 letters regarding Vinland Commons zoning change appeal. There was also a petition containing 72 signatures requesting rural corridor zoning remain in place at the Vinland Commons property in Accaboag. There was a petition for the extension of the Riverhead Sewer District for property located at 1201 Ostrander Avenue, and a petition for the extension of the Riverhead Sewer District for property located at 1224 Ostrander Avenue. Under reports, wait a minute. I'm sorry, and there were also 2 additional letters that came in with regard to Resolution 644. One from, they were in support of Resolution 644, one from Julie Hargrave and the other one from David Gallo. And this one's so brief, I'll read it. Says, good evening, Georgica Green Ventures LLC would like to extend our support for Resolution 644 to award bids for the preparation of a pattern book for the downtown business district. Respecting community character is vital for responsible development, and a pattern book will allow for more consistency to create projects that complement and benefit Riverhead. Now we'll move on to reports. The police department submitted their July 2019 monthly report. The tax receiver submitted her utility collection report for July, and that was $705,845.59. And that is all I have.
Diane, when you get letters regarding requests for traffic lights and things of that nature, I know you send it to us, but do you send it to the chief of police and to Mary?
I'll have to double check to see if we
Because
send
they
it
set
from
the
there.
agenda for the traffic safety committee meeting, so if you could do
I'll
that,
double
if it
check. I
has to
can't
do
recall.
with
Yeah.
traffic safety or street
Okay.
lights or things of
Yep,
that nature.
certainly.
Thank you.
All right, so before we move on to the approval for the minutes, I just wanted to do a few announcements for today. Art in the Park returns to Grangeville Park on Saturday, September 14th. You can go to www.artintheparksreflections.com for more information. The 22nd Annual Snapper Tournament is Saturday, September 14th from 11 a.m. to 3 p.m. along the Peconic River Boardwalk. This competition is open to children and adults. Trophies will be awarded to the top 3 finishers in each division. You can register online at riverheadrecreation.net or on the day of the event at the town dock at 10 a.m. We will also be doing another cleanup for the Riverhead train station on Saturday, September 28th at 8:30 a.m. We ask you to come and volunteer with us and with our neighbors as we continue to build on the progress made during our fall cleanup. And if none of you have been around there recently, if you go and look at what's happening over at the train station and the plants that are blooming over there, it really is pretty impressive. So hopefully you'll come out, be able to join us then. And also, our daily water supply is always seriously challenged during this time of year, especially with the humidity that we're having. And we ask you to help conserve your water and your irrigations. Please limit the time that you're irrigating, or just skip a day would be greatly appreciated. And as always, just a reminder, if you'd like to have something entered into the record, to please mail that to the town clerk or email to the town clerk at townclerk@townofriverheadny.gov. So at this time, can I have a first and second for approval of the meetings, or the regular meeting of August 6, 2019 at 2 p.m. and the special town board meeting of August 8, 2019 at 10, did I say 2 a.m. for the first one?
I said 2 p.m.
2 p.m. and 10 a.m. for the August 8th meeting.
So moved.
Second,
Moved and seconded, vote please.
Kent,
Yes.
Hubbard,
yes.
Giglio.
Yes.
Wooten,
Yes.
Jen Smith.
Yes.
The minutes are approved.
Okay. So at this time, we will open up our first public hearing, which is to begin at 6:05. It is now 6:15, which is the consideration of amendment to Chapter 289 entitled Vehicles, Traffics, and Parking Regulations, Article 4, Parking, Standing and Stopping, 289-10, Parking Prohibited, Sound Avenue. Bob, do you want to just address that first?
Sure. The public hearing is to hear from people for or against proposal to amend Chapter 289 of the Code of the Town of Riverhead. 289 is entitled Vehicles, Traffic, and Parking Regulations, and this particular legislation is dealing with the parking of vehicles along Sound Avenue. Currently, there are 3 locations along Sound Avenue where parking is prohibited. The first is on the north side of Sound Avenue from the intersection with Osborne Avenue in a westerly direction with Baywood Drive. The second is located, in the code, is on the south side of Sound Avenue, and that's from the intersection with County Road 105, which is also known as Cross River Drive, and that runs in an easterly direction for about a distance of 400 feet. That would be across the way from Brymere. The first location would be across the way from the Riverhead Cider House. The third one that's listed in the code currently is on the south side of Sound Avenue. That one, as in the first instance, is also on the south side, and it runs from the intersection with Osborne Avenue in a westerly direction to the intersection with Baiting Hollow Lane. That too would encompass the Riverhead Cider House. Under the proposal that's before the board today, all those sections would be repealed, and instead there would be a replacement which would bar parking of vehicles the entire length of Sound Avenue. That would run from the western location with 25A and Wading River to the eastern location, which is where the town of Riverhead and the South Old Town lines meet. It's about 13.43 miles according to town records, And we're here to hear from you as far as your comments for or against this proposal.
Just for some clarity, just because I get asked a couple questions on it. When we say that it bans parking on Sound Avenue, is that on the shoulder of the road, or where does that go into? Or they have the chief here too.
We don't say on the pavement, so I would take the position that it includes the entire right-of-way that's laid out as far as Sound Avenue, which would include, it's about 66 feet in width. I looked at the GIS, and I also spoke with Highway Superintendent George Woodson before today's meeting, just to confirm that that is the width that's been laid out. And it's
With
about
Sound Avenue is
66,
what, 4 rods
it's
or
about,
whatever?
right,
The whole-
yeah,
the whole
66 feet wide, and about, he's indicated that there's about 15 feet of shoulder on each side, plus or minus.
So a lot of the turnouts in the farms along Sound Avenue are
Would be-
actually in the right-of-way.
Which is not unusual, I mean, you know, with,
So is my
you know, that, you know, exactly.
So like Reeves Farm, they couldn't park in their turnout.
They would, under this proposal, reading it as it's presently drafted, it would ban parking within the right-of-way dimension.
So just for a visual, so say, when you're going down Sound Avenue, it's the roadway, and then you have the shoulders there. So what would that length be? I know it varies because some of the property has encroached. How far past that, sort of onto grass in most areas, would that be?
As per my conversation with the highway superintendent, he's guessing that in most instances it would be 15 feet.
On either side,
Correct.
other than the shoulder?
North and south.
Yeah, but Sound
That-
Avenue isn't,
But that's, you know, I didn't ask him about the shoulder, I just, you know.
I was just wondering if the shoulder was part of that, because that's gotta be at least 4 or 5 feet in each one.
I'm not sure what the dimension is with the paved area as far as the travel portion or the shoulders.
Well, I think it's safe
I
to
did not
say-
ascertain that.
It's safe to say where there's telephone poles, that's still a right of way there, so it's
That
gonna be
typically,
beyond
yes.
that.
Typically,
for
yes.
sure.
Okay. Okay. At this point, if there's anybody from the public that would like to come up and comment?
Hi, hi, my name is Sandra Halleck Giada. I live at 5644 Sound Avenue in Jamesport. I have lived here for most of my life and grew up here. My ancestors, grandparents, and have owned land and lived here in Jamesport for centuries. I currently live in my grandparents' old farmhouse located between Manor Lane and Pier Avenue. Last year, my parents sold a portion of their land directly east of my home to Harb's Farm, assuming they would use the land to continue to farm on. Our family appreciates hardworking farmers, but selling our land, we expected the land to be used for farming and not to be used as a parking lot. The current proposal is to enforce no parking zones on Sound Avenue, which means that the farm communities need to make space on their farm for excessive parking. With that said, my driveway and Harb's parking lot for this coming season is located 20 feet from my personal driveway and my home. I am the only resident that abuts the Harb's property. With all of Harb's land, that they should not be allowed to place this area so close to my property. The current location of the entrance and absolutely affects the safety and value of my property. This must be stopped before it's too late. I know this will yet be another temporary fix that will have a negative impact on many of the local residents. Yes, the traffic is horrendous on the weekends on the North Road, and sometimes, besides a parking restriction, must be implemented to get some relief, but forcing our farms to take our beautiful land and make it designated for parking lots is not the answer. Leave the land to be farm on, not trying to turn it into a parking lot. It is already a strain on our life with traffic on Sound Avenue. But to have an entering and exit near or next to your personal home driveway is just out of the question. We are here first, and we choose to remain here because of our beautiful farms.
Thank you.
Robert Skinner, 14 Eileen Circle, Jamesport. Having been out on Saturday and Sunday and trying to get from the western portion of Riverhead Town to Jamesport, my wife and I would respectfully request that anything you can do to keep Sound Avenue flowing should be done. And if it means no parking, which seems to be a logical motion in this case, then please make sure that that happens.
Thank you.
Good evening. I'm Rob Carpenter, Administrative Director of Long Island Farm Bureau. We're here today to address and give comments on the proposed code, and there are some issues that do concern the farm community with this code. We understand and agree that safety is a paramount issue, and the farmers all support doing the most safest thing possible. However, this code change may have certain impacts on farm operations, and we believe that there needs to be some clarification addressed in the code before it actually goes into place to mitigate the impacts on the farm community. Such as, when will this take effect? What clarifications can be added to what no parking actually means? And Supervisor, you asked a good question. Is it just on the curb itself, or does it address the whole right-of-way? I think that needs to be clarified to avoid issues going forward in the future, so that there is not police enforcement if it's not fully in the code and fully understood. The farm community would like to work more with the town to better understand what you're looking for and what you're trying to address, so that we can come up with things that will help solve problems on both ends of the issue. And what we would like to do is to try to work things out voluntarily before it actually gets mandated into code and put into place. Addressing and understanding these concerns will allow farmers to better plan ahead where they're going to plant their crops, what they need to do as far as mitigating concerns to address parking, such as preparing the fields in advance, particularly when they deal with U-Pick operations, which could move from field to field in any given year. We're asking to establish possibly voluntary guidelines that will be beneficial to the town and beneficial to the farm community. Farmers have concerns such as having to move fences to accommodate the new code, preparing fields, dealing with ingress and egress when it comes to parking. And then the question also comes up, how will this affect farmers who have already sold development rights and might not be able to park on preserved land, and other issues of concern. So what we're asking is if you could hold this in abeyance until some of these concerns could be addressed. The Ag Advisory Committee has met with certain members before and would be willing to continue the discussion and dialogue to allow this to be beneficial again to both the town and the farm community. Thank you very much.
Rob, I just want to address a couple of your questions. First of all, I'm glad you brought up safety, because it was really done as a safety measure. For me, along Sound Avenue, I think that I see some dangerous scenarios in some areas where kids are walking, families are walking right by the road, and I'm concerned about somebody getting hit. There's also, the chief of police has spoken to me about when cars are head in, that they're quite often backing out onto the road. So it is a safety issue, but certainly we want to work with the farming community, and this was done as a proactive measure with all of the traffic on the roads right now. It just increases the concern of safety. It wasn't meant to target any certain group, so I certainly appreciate and understand how hard the farming community works and how blessed we are to be surrounded by farms here. And, as the liaison to two farm committees that are working hard to preserve farmland, I certainly hope those committees understand my commitment to that. But as far as the effective date, we're looking at least next season. We'll sit down. I'm very happy to sit down with whatever group we put together, you guys and maybe town attorneys, and I think Gio Woodson and the chief of police and such, and talk about an effective date. But I think we need to at least have it be effective next season, because I know that the farms need to move plants, move things around, and that takes time. I did meet with Brian Lewin from the Lewin Farms, who's been working hard, and the committee met at Ag Advisory, and you guys, I know, are working hard. Just, let's see, clarification. Bob, were you going to talk about his last question about preservation? We did talk about that today. I spoke with Augie, I think you know Augie, at the county, and then Bob and I talked about it, and I think Bob will relay that information to you.
Yes, with regard to the question of parking, I know that when we met recently, there was discussion about whether parking could be permitted on lands that have had their development rights sold. I looked into this. I also spoke with Deputy Town Attorney Anne Marie Credente, who does much more of this than I, and she confirmed that parking has been allowed where it's done in support of and connected to an agricultural production, a bona fide use. So that has been done. It requires a permit, as you know, to either the town committee or to the county committee. At the county level, interestingly, I had a chance to look into their website, and you probably know this, they have actually a form which they describe as the Agricultural Development Special Use Permit application. And it lists 9 types of improvements that are done in conjunction with an agricultural use. And one of those, number 2, is pervious parking area and driveway. So it's clearly called out for. In addition there to Chapter 8 of the county law talks about an agricultural development permit, and that permit allows for the development of structures and improvements that are necessary for agricultural production. So I don't see a reason why an individual who's in farm production, who's sold their development rights, would not be able to utilize a portion of the land that's been sold, provided it's being used in conjunction with the ag production.
Great.
Okay.
And just to add to that, when I spoke to Augie, who's the East End Projects Coordinator, my understanding is that if someone wants to move the parking, first they apply to Suffolk County under Chapter 8 for a permit to locate parking and a permit on their preserved property, and then from there they go to the Riverhead Farmland Committee, and that's the second layer of approval. But from everything I see and from what he said, it's a pretty streamlined process, that it goes quickly,
Sure.
as it should be.
And I thank you very much for all that dedication and work. And I think part of my concern is just that I would like it to see it better clarified within the code, just so that a code enforcer doesn't come out and say, well, it doesn't really say, so I'm gonna write you a citation or a parking ticket. And I would ask that to prevent future problems going forward. But again, we understand all that you're trying to do, and we're willing to work with you in discussion, particularly the Ag Advisory Committee, and I'm sure, although I won't speak for them, the Riverhead Farmland Committee as well.
And certainly we want to sit down with you and we can all work together on this. This is a great start at the public hearing, and I agree with your comments. Thank you.
Great, thank you very much.
Speaking of farmland,
Who's had great corn this year?
Speaking of farmland, so Rodney Anderson, I'm actually the chair of the Farmland Preservation Committee, and although he doesn't want to speak for us, I'm actually going to let him do that. Some of my items that I come across with actually aren't coming from farmland, it's just coming as a resident. Robbie has things pretty well covered, so I'd like to let him go from that end of things. I had a few questions with it, or I'm going to say issues with it. I don't quite understand the reasoning. I understand the safety aspect and some of that. I know there are areas that are issues, but I can't quite grip the necessity to do the entire stretch of Sound Avenue. I mean, there are many areas that are just, it's impractical. I mean, I think of things even like some of the farms out there where there would be now signage stuck all the way down the road because I would have to assume you'd have to put signage up if you're gonna have a zone area that's no parking, just in the middle of nowhere. I know we've experienced that on our farm on Roanoke Avenue, where we have areas where we farm kind of to the road, we drive along the road, all of that, and then the town came down and started putting signs up. Fortunately, we were able to get them to move them, because it wasn't much, they just needed to move it a little bit, and it, worked for both parties. But I don't see the practicality of even spending the money on it, if that's the way it goes. I don't know if there's a way it can be done without signage, then that works. The other part of it too is, as a resident, and for other residences that may not realize what's going on here, I mean, there are many times you have things, be it a yard sale, things that go on at a few of the churches that are around. I understand parking for things like restaurants when there are festivals going on or they have special occasions. But you also have that even with residences, whether it's they're having a wedding held at their house, a graduation party held at their house, a birthday party held at their house. And to completely deny that, I mean, I know a lot of places, if they're gonna have just relatives alone, they're not gonna have enough parking to be able to do that right in their own residence. And with the understanding that common sense needs to be applied and things along those lines, but you're not gonna get as much of a safety issue as you talk about, like children running between cars. I completely agree. And as anyone with common sense would know that that makes sense. But I would ask that you would look at this more of a restricted area of where you find the necessity to do this, as you have already done in the code already. Take a better look at it and see where it's needed to try to control things a little better that way, instead of just taking a blanket effect across everything and affecting everybody.
Rodney, you make a lot of good points, thanks.
Yep.
And I just want to address a couple of them. For me, it was all safety, and I think we all know that people come out here for the day and such, and they're just not thinking about that they're all by a busy road. They're thinking they're out in the country, they're having a picnic by the back of their car, and they're just wandering around. And I know that people will say, well, people should be watching their children better, but I just see this as a safety measure. And Sound Avenue is such a narrow, kind of windy road. And quite frankly, I don't really see that much parking on it. I mean, there's only a few problem areas that we even really need to address. And a couple of the farms have
Exactly my point.
spoken, what?
That's exactly my point.
Right, but a couple of the farms have spoken to us that they're very appreciative of this measure, because they do have a problem with people parking all over the place, and this would be helpful in that, with them, in regulating their parking. Because most, from everything I see, most of the farms have the parking, out of the way. It's only a few problem areas that we're looking to address. And it's kind of a proactive measure, because I don't think our traffic is gonna slow down. I mean, we're certainly a popular area, and you guys are bringing everybody out here with all your great produce, and certainly the pumpkin picking. So for me, I saw it as a long-term, thing.
Thank you. So, Bob, if we want to leave this open to have the committees be able to meet a little, I would adjourn it or just leave it open till, because I think maybe November by the time
Leave it
you
open and adjourn it to a future date, set the date at the conclusion of the testimony from the
Okay.
people today.
Is there anybody else that wanted to speak on the public hearing?
I do. I think that after hearing the comments today, and I agree with Catherine that safety is a major issue, and I appreciate being proactive to prevent any accidents from happening, but in speaking to the chief, there really haven't been any accidents or anybody getting run over or, things of that nature. It's actually, but I appreciate being proactive. I think that the way that the legislation is written needs a complete rewrite. I think that it needs to be mentioned in there that when parking areas are moved next to a residential use or a structure, that there needs to be a buffer or a setback with some planted vegetation, just as we do in our commercial districts with site plans and things like that. Because, a lot of the farms don't have pavement, and when people are parking and pulling in and out and the dust and everything else, it could really be a nuisance to a resident. So I think that needs to be in there. I agree with the Farm Bureau that we need better clarification on where the parking can occur, because I know when Harbs had their parking on preserved land, they were told that they had to remove those cars and they needed to come up with a different plan, and they needed to park on full fee property in the back. They were parking up front and they needed to park in the back, and they came in with a plan and they redirected where their parking was going, because it couldn't be on property where the development rights have been sold. So that definitely needs clarification.
I can clarify that.
Yeah.
As far as, if I could just finish.
Okay.
As far as signs are concerned, you know, I don't wanna see Sound Avenue labeled with no parking signs either, all up and down Sound Avenue, so that people know. And that if somebody does park on Sound Avenue and they're getting a ticket for parking on Sound Avenue with our police, you know, pulling over all up and down Sound Avenue to write these tickets, I think that that is gonna turn the bucolic look of Sound Avenue into a more commercial corridor. And, you know, I think that most importantly, we need to depict the right-of-way with the highway superintendent. I think Lori brought up a great point, so that we know who is actually going to be affected by this legislation. I mean, legislation is very easy to write, it's very easy to have public hearings, and it's very easy to adopt. But if you're not taking into consideration all the ramifications of the legislation that you're creating, you're not being a good legislator. So I want answers to all these questions, because Sound Avenue is not exactly in the middle of the right-of-way. Sound Avenue can be all the way to the south or all the way to the north with, you know, 40 feet of right-of-way on either side. So it's not directly located in the middle of Sound Avenue, the roadway that's there now. So I think we need better clarification too as to how many feet on both sides of Sound Avenue are actually going to be affected by this. Because a lot of the farmers that I spoke to up and down Sound Avenue are saying, I'm protected with this turnout, but I don't think they are. So I think that we need to do a rewrite and include all of these things. And I know that Catherine, you will work hard with the Ag Advisory Committee to come up with better legislation to go back out for public hearing.
Okay, so, are you done? I don't want to interrupt.
Yeah.
So a couple of things. First of all, we are taking into account all ramifications, and that's why I spoke to met with some of the farmers, planning met with some of the farmers. We discussed it at Ag Advisory. This is simply the public hearing, which is a start. We are planning to have another meeting. So I think that is definitely taking into account and listening to all sides of the issue and working it through together. So I will disagree with that remark. As far as signs, we're talking about putting as few signs as possible. We definitely don't want to put signs everywhere. We're having a discussion about possibly putting the sign on already existing signs so that we're not adding to that. I agree, it's a beautiful historic road. I don't want to see signs all over the place. And one good thing about meeting with everybody the other night, a lot of guests came to the Ag Advisory, which was really quite nice. We had a lot of people here from the farming community, and during the discussion, it brought up a lot of other concerns, some of the things that you touched on, and there are a lot of other concerns. So I think we're starting the conversation. We're kind of on a listening tour with it right now. We're gonna keep this open for a while. So I feel as though, you know, we're handling it in the best way that we can. I did talk with the chief today, and we didn't discuss whether there's a lot of accidents, but Chief, can you just address a minute the concern about head-in parking?
Just gonna have to have it come up. Sorry.
I think the head-in parking issue is whether there's enough shoulder for them to get off our right-of-way and onto the property of the farm. Sometimes that doesn't happen, and when that doesn't happen, there's not enough room for them to back around either on the shoulder or on the farm property, and they're backing out into the street, which causes a dangerous situation.
Right, and I can picture that happening in 604 sector. I know exactly where you're talking about. And I'm glad we're having a public hearing. I'm sure we're gonna have lots more discussions on this. We all have opinions about it. I don't know whether the whole entire road, 13 miles of Sound Avenue, but I think we can definitely target the areas that we know exist. And it's not just Sound Avenue, there's areas of Fresh Pond Road, there's areas all over the place that really are a problem area, when, just for a small amount of time, really, something to think about it. So I think we'll figure out something.
It's a very narrow roadway.
Yeah.
So even when you have your fog lines on the side, there might not even be like a foot or so of pavement for the shoulder, so then you're up onto the grass after that, so it's...
Oh, yeah. There was some traffic calming things that were brought, that never got implemented, but there are some things that can be done to slow traffic down, I think.
Okay, thank you.
Sal Mastropolo, Calverton. My first question is, what problem are you trying to solve? Is it a parking problem or is it a traffic problem?
I I think,
And
you know,
if it's a
this,
traffic problem,
I think one causes
you're not
the
gonna
other.
fix it by,
One causes the other.
I think there is some overlap of the two.
It's a safety problem and, you know, it also plays into the traffic.
okay,
For me, it's safety first.
I agree. Okay, it's really bad by Lewins because they park on both sides. Okay?
And they're working on it.
I think
Yep.
we should address just the problem areas, not the entire length. Okay, because it's just a waste of time and a waste of money.
Correct.
And if you decide to do the entire length, then maybe all you need is one sign just east of every crossroad. There's not that many crossroads
Right. I was thinking the same
between
thing.
Sound Avenue and
it doesn't
South
have to be a
Toll.
regular- it doesn't have to be- It could be a
So-
really nice sign, nice wood.
You put it on the east side of the eastbound, and you put it on the west side of the westbound. So as soon as you turn onto Sound, you read the sign, and that's it until the next crossroad.
Right.
That'll limit the cost at least.
Okay, thank you
Thank
very
you.
much. Is there anybody else that wanted to address the board on this? Seeing nobody, Diane, when's the first meeting in November? Yeah,
Oh, that's, I'll probably be there.
is it?
Calendar there?
Yeah, I got it.
Well, while they're
November
figuring
6th.
that out,
So-
thank you to everybody for coming, and I mean, I'm listening about
November
doing it in
6th.
certain areas, but that seems a little
Wednesday.
harder to
It's
regulate, is the only thing.
So I will leave the hearing open until November 6th. That's all I have to do.
It's, we're gonna leave it open, and it's being adjourned.
Adjourned until that day.
To be heard again on November
November
6th, and
6th.
that would be 2 o'clock, is that 2
That's
o'clock?
a 2 o'clock meeting, yes.
Okay, all right.
Do you wanna do an evening meeting for that?
Right for election day.
Probably
Would be
should.
better.
Okay, what's the meeting after that? The meeting after that would be the 18th?
Well, let's see, 14, that makes probably 19,
Should be
probably.
19th? So it'll be the meeting on Tuesday, November 19th. We will adjourn it and leave it open until then. This way it gives everybody, the committees that only meet once a month to time to meet. And all right. At this point, I will ask anybody that would like to come up and comment on any of the resolutions to please come forward.
Hi, Pat Snyder, Riverhead. I'm speaking about 644, Resolution 644. I've been speaking a lot with the community, the Riverhead community, and that conversation often goes to downtown and concerns about downtown. And I have yet to have anybody come to me and say, I am so excited about that really big building on McDermott and Main. And I'm getting exactly the opposite. They're saying, what the heck? This
I love
building
it.
is
They haven't talked to me.
huge and out of character. So we're getting, what I'm hearing is in opposition to the size of the building. And ultimately, people would like to see the building stay with the character of Riverhead. And that's why I'm endorsing 644. I'm suggesting that you listen to the constituents of Riverhead and what their wishes are. If we have a pattern book, we have a guideline, we can keep our attention towards what Riverhead residents want the downtown to look like.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Pat?
Anybody else that would like to come up?
Don't want to cut anybody off. Angela DeVito, 121 Green Street. I'm speaking also to Resolution 644 and in favor of it. I believe that having a pattern book and also the going forward with considerations for form-based zoning gives us the maximum flexibility and ability to be creative with our downtown and getting input from individuals that live in the downtown area as well as are residents of the town. I believe that this will allow us to finally do away with a lot of the dream images that we've had about what to do there, and it will allow for us to go forward with something that makes sense and is on a solid base. I think it's something that is a great use of the money that is going to be assigned to it. So I encourage all of you to vote for it in favor of 644. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good evening, Madam Supervisor, members of the board. My name is Janice Shearer. I live in Bating Hollow, and I'm so excited to be here to speak on behalf of Resolution 644. As you know, I was here on behalf of the Downtown Revitalization Committee at work session, and we discussed the possibility of how you can really understand what to zone to in the downtown districts by using the pattern book visualization process to get there, and to really have that long-term understanding and preference surveys, and the pattern book will really engage the community, give you that certainty to understand the consequences of what these zoning actions will lead to, so you can visualize all the range of possibilities. And I think it's an excellent step in the right direction, and I really applaud all the efforts that have happened in the past and everything moving forward that you're all doing to help revitalize downtown. This is probably the biggest thing for Riverhead to do, and I just want to applaud you and say thank you, and I hope you vote in favor of it.
Thank you.
Good evening, Takwi Turchin, Calverton Civic. I'm not going to speak tonight as the president of the Civic. I'm here as a resident of Calverton, and I'm speaking on the 644 as well. And I personally am in favor of it. Just wrote a short piece on here. I would like to thank you for considering the community in the pattern book process. And the assessment creates a visual certainty that will inform future development to move in a positive direction that everyone engaged in can be a source, create a source of civic pride. I think Janice just mentioned that she's also in favor of it. She's done a lot of work on this project. I want to mention that personally, there's a few buildings in town that I love very much, and when I walk downtown, I just love seeing them. One of them is the Star Confectionery, the other is the East End Arts Building, and also the Congregational Methodist Churches. Those buildings to me represent over 100 years. Even the Methodist Church, I think, is over 200 years old. Yes, it's a wood frame project, a building, but it's been maintained, it's been kept in its character. It creates a sense of the past. And we really do need that as a community. We need to know what those buildings look like. Just because we're excited about bringing money into town and to develop doesn't mean that we lose that sense of character that we'd like to keep in our downtown. It's a historic district. We need to be sensitive to the fact that it's a historic district and to honor it. And I applaud all of you who are in favor of it. I hope that you vote in favor of this resolution. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Good evening. I'm Richard Wines and live in Jamesport. And I'm also speaking about Resolution 644. I have no problems with a pattern book. I think a pattern book would be a really nice thing for the town to have. It would be useful for the Landmarks Commission and the ARB probably. But I have two major concerns. First of all, I want to wear my hat as co-chair of the town's Transfer Development Rights Committee. And as you all know, our committee has been meeting for something like 4 years. 2.5 years ago, we prepared a list of actions that we think would drastically increase that program, which is the only viable program the town has now to preserve farmland. We needed something like $30,000 to do the SECRA analysis. It was necessary to put those recommendations. We've been trying to get that $30,000 for 2.5 years now, and suddenly we can spend $175,000 on a pattern book. Something doesn't seem right in the priorities here. We're trying to preserve our farmland, and we couldn't get $30,000 for all this time, and now we can get this amount of money for the pattern book.
Richard, I think that you had presented the recommendations from the TDR committee back in, I think it was about 2017, the first time that you had presented the
2.5 years ago, yeah.
2.5 years ago. And I think part of the issue was that the secret needed to be done in a more comprehensive plan. And at that time, they had said, it has to be part of the comprehensive plan update. And we've taken that to heart. And we have put out the RFP for the comprehensive plan, which is charged with addressing the TDRs in the town as a whole. And that has already been put out. We've gotten our bids back for that, and we are moving full steam ahead with that if the board does choose to approve once whoever is chosen from the bidding process. So I just want to let you know that it's not been put on the back burner. It has certainly been on front and center, and we've been working very hard to bring that forward, and we have, and we are. And I just want to assure that it's not something that's being ignored. It's being looked at in a comprehensive manner so that all areas can be studied to be able to move it forward.
Well, I certainly very much appreciate that, Supervisor Jen Smith. And as you know, my concern is that, of course, that was 2.5 years ago. By the time we get the comprehensive plan done and get the code adopted, that's going to be another 1.5 years away or so. And I'm glad the town board senses the urgency of this. I hope that anything that can be done to speed up the process, and particularly to speed up the process regarding the TDR portion of it, will be much appreciated by the agricultural community. Thank you. I'd also like to wear my hat now as chair of the Riverhead Landmarks Preservation Commission. And we're a little frustrated because we all know the current zoning code allows things that we all know shouldn't be happening downtown. 5-story lot line to lot line buildings are inappropriate. We all know that. We all have some pretty good ideas what needs to be done. The Landmarks Commission presented a list of patterns, a little picture book of patterns that would substantially help this. And my concern is that by going to this pattern book now, we're just putting this off. By the time we get it approved and then get the pattern book done, and then that could be 6 months or a year, and then that still doesn't give us any zoning. So all this time, people can build these things that no one in the town, even the developers in the town, don't think are appropriate. So I'm very worried about the delays here. So anything that can be done to expedite that, to move it forward, to make sure that not just the next supervisor term, but the supervisor term after that, we're still not looking at 5-story lot line to lot line development downtown. It just makes the job of the Landmarks Commission and the ARB so hard, because the things that can be built as of right are inappropriate, and we can't do anything about it. We can deal with the decorations, we can deal with what they look like, but the core things need to be addressed. So thank you.
Richard, I agree with you. I just have to say, this zoning was put in 16 years ago, right? And we're seeing what the zoning that was put in 16 years ago, and as we see the buildings going up, there is concerns from the community that it may be too intense and it may be too much, and that's why we're moving forward to do this. We did try to change some of the zoning earlier last year. There was a lot of discussion about it, and there wasn't a method to be able to address it in a comprehensive manner, and we feel that this pattern book does allow us to do that and address these issues, along with other issues such as walkability and the compatibility of the riverfront and for downtown to help revitalize it. So we are moving forward with it. It may be, for you, it may be very, very long. I think for the community, it's been a really long time, but we haven't let up, and we are continuing to move forward, and that's why I hope that we have full town board support for the pattern book tonight.
Well, I appreciate your sense of urgency. Time is running out for our downtown, and we need to get those zoning changes done expeditiously. Thank you.
And Richard, just to let you know, the company that we're looking at, and you should really look at their website, people can see all the different projects that they've done in other places. They're called Urban Design Associates, and their motto is listening, testing, and designing. So first they're really on a listening tour, and they're listening to all the different stakeholders and business people and residents and obviously landmarks and ARB. And they also look at all the previous documents, and then they take in all that information, and then they actually lay it out. That's the testing stage where they show you the different scenarios, and in the end there's the decision making as to how we're moving forward. But certainly there will be lots of opportunity for your group and for other stakeholders to express their feelings.
And I appreciate all that. It just sounds like a lot of time.
They've told us that they can complete it within 6 months.
They're a large company, as I said, they're a worldwide company, and they've done a lot of projects, and frankly, we looked at the different proposals, and we did choose this group, not only because they're well known and they're a large company, but also because they gave us a short timeline.
That would be good
So
news.
I appreciate your passion on
It's a
it.
small focus area anyway, it's really not that huge. Riverhead's not a large Main Street compared to what they're used to.
Great, thank you.
Thank you.
Just a final comment. James Farley, South Jamesport, co-chair, Downtown Revitalization Committee. Just like to echo my co-chair Janice's comments. I think they were good comments. I think that Richard's observation about the timing is an important one. We think that the cornerstone to this, and particularly Richard's concerns, is the visualization exercise. It is the part of step one of the whole process proposed by UDA. And we think that once the visualization element of the study's been done, we can actually turn our attention to beginning to address the issues that Richard has highlighted here tonight. And that can run concurrent with the development of the full pattern book. At the same time, I think I'd like to stress to the board that we're looking at this exercise as really an exercise in consensus for the town. We look at downtown Riverhead's revitalization as being a cornerstone element for the entire town. And while we are very concerned with the actual downtown residents' existence and their physical presence, we really want participation from all of the hamlets in Riverhead. We want each and every one of them to buy into an idea of a downtown that they would all come and use and enjoy and appreciate. And so we're looking at this exercise with UDA, particularly when the consensus building element begins, post-visualization study, where in effect each hamlet and members of the community can come and express their desires, their interests, their design outlook, and hopefully build something that is really a foundation that can support a lot of things for Riverhead. For instance, we're going to probably renew our application for a downtown development grant for next year as well, and this could be a cornerstone to that new application. And I think that's very, very important. And I hope you all vote the right way.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Is there anybody else that wanted to address the board on any of the resolutions? No, seeing nobody, we can move on to resolutions.
Okay, resolution 633.
633, accepts the retirement of a highway labor crew leader. So moved.
Second.
Moved and seconded, vote please.
Kent.
Yes.
Hubbard.
Yes.
Giglio.
Yes.
Wooten.
Yes.
Jen Smith.
Yes.
Resolution adopted. Resolution 634.
Accepts the retirement of a principal account clerk. So moved.
Seconded.
Moved and seconded, vote please.
Kent.
Yes.
Hubbard.
Yes, Jeannie Molosky's been with us a very long time and has done a fantastic job, and I wish her nothing but the best in her retirement.
Giglio.
Yes, good luck to Jean, and she was a tremendous employee, very helpful, very knowledgeable, handled all of our insurance claims, and it's really gonna be difficult to fill her shoes, but I wish whoever we do hire the best of luck, and I wish Jean the best of luck in her retirement. Yes.
Wooten.
No, can't let her go.
He always says.
Okay. Jen Smith.
Yes.
Resolution adopted. Resolution 635.
Accepts the retirement of the senior wastewater treatment plant operator, 3A. So moved.
Seconded?
Moved and seconded, vote please.
Kent.
Yes.
Hubbard.
Mr. Hadloff is in the back of the room, 36 years, I believe, Matt? It's sad to see you leave, because when a person who has 36 years of experience in a job, they leave with a lot of knowledge that, yes, we can replace with a younger worker, maybe for a lesser salary, but the knowledge is priceless. So thank you, Matt, for everything, and best of luck to you in your retirement.
Giglio.
Yes, we've certainly had our ups and downs over the last 10 years, but always had spirited, interesting conversations, and I thought you were a great union leader for your union members, and I thought you were a great employee, and you will be missed, but we'll be seeing you, because we all know where you live. I'll vote yes.
Diane, can I just jump in 1 second? I always vote first. Sometimes I miss getting to say something. I want to say that Jean Molosky has done an incredible job, a lot of years here, and she'll be very missed, and I'm sure that Matt will be missed. We'll miss him in the town as well, and I wish you well, Matt.
Okay, and now we're up to Wooten.
Although I am so thrilled to see you go. I'm gonna vote no. Sorry, you can't leave.
Jen Smith.
Yes, and I have to say to Matt, you know, I came in here, Matt has been the head of the CSEA, and I came in the time that we were negotiating the contract. It's been a pleasure to work with Matt and his team, so it's gonna be, I'm sorry to see you go, but I know that you're ready to retire, and I'm sure you're gonna find ways to enjoy yourself. So I wish you the best of luck. And also to Jean and to Donald, you know, your years of service from all three of you is greatly appreciated, not only by the town board up here, but by the town itself for all the years of dedication that you've given to us. So thank you very much.
Thank you.
You look pretty happy.
And I gotta jump in too about Donald, because I always appreciated his spirit also.
Okay, so resolution 635
Ditto.
is adopted. Okay. And now we're up to resolution 636.
Ratifies and accepts the resignation of a part-time police officer. So moved.
I'll second.
Moved and seconded, vote please.
Kent.
Yes.
Hubbard.
Yes.
Giglio.
Yes.
Wooten.
Yes.
Jen Smith.
Yes.
Resolution adopted. Resolution 637.
This also ratifies and accepts the resignation of a part-time police officer. So moved.
Second.
Moved and seconded, vote please.
Kent.
Yes.
Hubbard.
Yes.
Giglio.
Yes.
Wooten.
Yes.
Jen Smith.
Yes.
Resolution adopted. Resolution 638.
Appoints a temporary full-time food service worker to the seniors program. So moved.
Seconded.
Moved and seconded, vote please.
Kent.
Yes.
Hubbard.
Yes.
Giglio.
Yes.
Wooten.
Yes.
Jen Smith.
Yes.
Resolution adopted. Resolution 639.
Appoints a seasonal lifeguard to the Recreation Department. So moved.
Seconded?
Moved and seconded, vote please.
Kent.
Yes.
Hubbard.
Yes.
Giglio.
Yes.
Wooten.
Yes.
Jen Smith.
Yes.
Resolution adopted. Resolution 640.
Amends resolution number 2019-598. So moved.
Second.
Moved and seconded, vote please.
Kent.
Yes.
Hubbard.
Yes.
Giglio.
Yes.
Wooten.
Yes.
Jen Smith.
Yes.
Resolution adopted. Did you want to do these together, the 255s? There's like three of them, I think.
Yes, if we can.
Okay, so resolution 641 through 643.
All right, I'd like to move resolution 641, which is a 255 application for Rivet Townscape for the annual country fair on October 13th. Also, 642, which approves the 255 application for the United Methodist Church for their annual holiday bazaar on November 23rd. And also 643, which approves the 255 application of Dark Side Production for their Haunted House Walk. That starts October 3rd through November 3rd. So moved, all three.
I'll second.
Moved and seconded, vote please.
Kent.
Yes.
Hubbard.
Yes.
Giglio.
Yes.
Wooten.
Yes.
Jen Smith.
Yes.
Resolution 641 through 643 are adopted. Now we'll move to 644.
Awards bid for preparation of a pattern book for the town of Riverhead Downtown Business District. So moved.
I'll second.
Moved and seconded, vote please.
Kent.
I'm very excited about this. This is a great company, United Design Associates. As I spoke about, they're a worldwide company. I think this will help us move forward with our planning of our downtown area. It helps us bring all ideas together and find consensus within our community. This is a process that allows everyone to have a voice in it, because it is it's our downtown, it's everyone's downtown, not just the people who live downtown. I think we should all be able to enjoy that area. And then they'll prepare a document that I believe will actually help streamline the process for developers. And I am very excited to vote yes.
Hubbard.
I'm a penny pincher, and $174,000 to do this, to show me a pattern book of what downtown should look like, I think is wrong for a couple of reasons. First being, we have an ARB in this town. We have a Landmarks Preservation Committee in this town. People on both of those committees are way more qualified than any one of us sitting up here on the board to make these types of decisions. And for me to spend $174,000 and look beyond the people that we have right in this town that have a much more intimate knowledge of the town of Riverhead than somebody coming from Atlanta, Georgia, it doesn't sit right with me. I think between ARB, Landmarks, which their meetings are open to the public, so the public certainly can participate and have their say in what they feel, I'm gonna vote no, because I would like to save the taxpayers $174,000.
Giglio.
So I agree with Tim on landmarks and ARB and being very qualified. I've sat with landmarks for 10 years. I know that they did make a recommendation that would restrict where the heights would go on the second floor or on floors where it would match roof lines of adjoining properties. I think that they did come up with their own pattern book, and I think that it's a lot easier to implement than spending $174,000 of taxpayer money on a pattern book when we're getting ready to undertake a master plan. I think that those changes could happen sooner than later in what Landmarks had presented to the board. And I think it's the same concept from what I saw from the presentation that was given to us from Historic Concepts. I think that with the limit of 500 apartments downtown right now, I think we're almost at that point of 500 apartments, and I can't see anybody coming into downtown and building a 5-story building for administrative offices with the dollar amount that they're getting for rent downtown. There's no return on investment. So I can't see anybody coming in and wanting to build more 5-story buildings when the cap on the apartments is 500. Pattern books are not timeless. I have concerns that the patterns may change as a new administration comes in or a new board comes in, and then there'll be no certainty of the outcome for anybody that does want to come and invest in downtown. I think that the better use of the money would be to use it for the SECRA, for the TDR program, to preserve the character of Riverhead Town, which is farms and open space. And that is something that they've been asking for many years, and it's not a lot of money to spend to do a secret determination for the TDR program and allocating more receiving areas than what we have now. And I think that the money is better spent with that. And, you know, we took $1.05 million that we weren't expecting to get this year. And rather than spending $33,000 here and $150,000 here and $175,000 that's there, I think that money should be used to purchase the Sweezy's building. And we may not have the money now to knock it down and build a giant town square yet, but I know that the grant money would be there if the town owned the Sweezy's building. And I also, I appreciate what the pattern book does, but asking private property owners to create public open space of a very small area that will have all these small public spaces all throughout downtown. And I'm talking small areas. If you're talking about 20% of a lot area of a 5,000 square foot lot, it's not a lot of public space that we're talking about. I'd rather see a large town square in the location of the Sweezy's building and use this money to buy that building and knock it down and build a town square. I think that the TDR program is very important, and I think that we should be focusing on receiving areas in areas where there are sewers, and that would be downtown Route 58 and at the Grumman property. So I think those would be great receiving areas, and I think it's something that we should be looking into immediately. I think that the farmland is too precious. It's getting harder and harder to farm as values keep going up, and a lot of our farms are in threat of development. There's a lot of farmers out there that want to sell their farms and want to sell their TDRs. And nobody's buying the TDRs because there's nowhere to land those TDRs. The program has been dormant for a very long time. So I think that the money would be better well spent in other ways in preserving our rural character of Riverhead, which is our farmlands first and foremost. So for that reason, I am voting no. All those reasons.
Well, who says you can't have your cake and eat it too? I've been back and forth on this. I sat on the committee that went over these proposals between Historical Concepts and UDA. I have a very vision of Main Street. I grew up on Main Street. I'm probably the only, in fact, I'm the only councilman that lives within walking distance of Main Street. And I'm really not opposed to the 5-story building that's going up, as long as it's, and I'm glad that the design was changed, because as long as you couple it with public space, which is what Jody's talking about. But if you think we're gonna trade off a pattern book and buy Squeezies, that's not gonna happen. But I can tell you that Main Street has changed from the time that I was a little kid, and that's where you went to shop. And you wanted to go to 58, you went to Grant's or Billy Blake's. That was the only reason you went there, unless you went to Thomasini's. That's changed. Main Street changed. Now it has to become sustainable. So you love Papa Nick's. I love Papa Nick's. I do Old Man Nick. but they need to be able to have people come down there. And for most of the residences, they visit Main Street when they go to the Suffolk Theater, or they might go get a little something to eat at the diner, or maybe see something at East End Arts. But it's not an everyday thing. It's not an everyday draw. So that's where the housing comes in, and people who live there, make it workable, make it livable, make it sustainable. And the arts have a lot to do with that. East End Arts and the Suffolk Theater, all has lots to do with it. People are concerned about the height. Now, the Main Street Revitalization Committee, which is a fairly new committee, but there's a lot of talented people there. They have their say what they'd like to see. I realize maybe a lot of it was spurned by the 5-story building, and we all looked at it. I mean, even the Old Town Board looked at the effects of DC-1 and how that would affect the south side of Main Street, and where we would go with that, and how that would happen, and how we maybe should diminish the south side a little bit and increase the north side. All of that being said, I don't find the pattern book to be a bad thing. I don't find it to be a showstopper. And believe me, a town spending $175,000, believe me, that's not the end of the world. For us to finally get a focus group to sit down with Landmarks, sit down with BID, sit down with whoever, the Main Street Revitalization, sit down with me, sit down with the churches, sit down with civic groups, sit down with whoever has their desire, what they'd like to see on Main Street, and to pull all of these desires together and to come up with a pattern book that will express all of these concerns. And that pattern book will be the basis for form-based zoning. Form-based zoning, if that gets adopted, is forever. So I don't care if the pattern book is only good for 2 years. The form-based zoning is what's going to be sustainable through what this pattern book will give us. So I don't find it to be a bad thing, and I don't think it's that expensive for us to really invest in our downtown. If we can get all eyes looking at downtown to make it better, then that's what we should be doing. That's what we get paid to do. That's what we're here for. The downtown is dying. We don't have an incorporated village. We have to incorporate the village with our mindset. So, short of that, I really don't see a downside. So I'm going to vote yes.
Jen Smith.
And I would just like to echo what Jim said also. I think, you know, to facilitate the redevelopment of downtown, you need a unified goal with the ability to do that. And I think the pattern books allows you to, which we've talked about so often, to incorporate the waterfront with our downtown and how we emphasize what is so good about downtown, the historic buildings we have, the future development we need. So I think that having the pattern book helps to move this process forward. We've studied. We now need things that will implement and carry us into the development stage where there's bricks being laid, where there's businesses going in, where there's people walking downtown. And I think that the pattern book will get us closer and closer to that goal. So I vote yes on it.
Resolution adopted.
And I just would like to make one point, and Jody, I know you were talking about the TDR, and I know you were talking about downtown, and that's kind of what I was saying to Richard. It's not one versus the other here. We have the money to be able to do the pattern book. We also have the money to do the comprehensive plan, which will take into account the TDRs in a comprehensive fashion so that it can be put into place to work better than what we have now, because we need to be able to preserve and save our farmland here.
Okay, resolution 645.
645 rejects the bid for the town of Riverhead Reeves Beach precast concrete restroom installation. So moved.
Second.
Moved and seconded, vote please.
Kent.
Yes.
Hubbard.
Yes.
Giglio.
Yes.
Wooten.
Yes.
Jen Smith.
Yes.
Resolution adopted. Resolution 646.
This authorizes the town clerk to publish and post the attached notice to bidders for the town of Riverhead Reeves Beach precast concrete restroom furnished and delivered. So moved.
Seconded.
Moved and seconded, vote please.
Kent.
Yes.
Hubbard.
Yes.
Giglio.
Yes.
Wooten.
Yes.
Jen Smith.
Yes.
Resolution adopted. Resolution 647.
Approves license agreement between Waddington Realty Corp. and the town of Riverhead for utilization of town of Riverhead parking facilities. So moved.
Seconded.
Moved and seconded, vote please.
Kent.
Yes.
Hubbard.
Yes.
Giglio.
Yes.
Wooten.
Yes.
Jen Smith.
Yes.
Resolution adopted. Resolution 648.
2009 EWR Road Resurfacing Grant Budget Adoption. So moved.
Second.
Moved and seconded, vote please.
Kent.
Yes.
Hubbard.
Yes.
Giglio.
Yes.
Wooten.
Yes.
Jen Smith.
Yes.
Resolution adopted. Resolution 649.
It authorizes installation of security cameras and technology upgrade to police headquarters pursuant to General Municipal Law 103-16. So moved.
Second.
Moved and seconded, vote please.
Kent.
Yes.
Hubbard.
Yes, 10 times.
Giglio.
Yes.
Wooten.
Yes.
Jen Smith.
Yes.
Resolution adopted. Resolution 650.
Authorizes the supervisor to execute lease renewal agreement, authorizing the town to lease a vehicle from Suffolk County Office for the Aging for transportation services for elderly residents. So moved.
Seconded.
Moved and seconded, vote please.
Kent.
Yes.
Hubbard.
Yes.
Giglio.
Absolutely.
Wooten.
Yes.
Jen Smith.
Yes, this is for the senior center, for Meals on Wheels, and to take some folks to doctor's appointments. We had an older car that were given by the county that is sort of, I'll say, kaput. So we're returning that car and getting a new car. So very happy about that.
Okay, Resolution 650 is adopted. Resolution 651.
Approves expenditure of community benefit funds for purchase of 2 passenger buses with handicap accessibility for the town senior citizen department pursuant to General Municipal Law 103 sub 16. So moved.
Seconded?
Moved and seconded, vote please.
Kent.
Yes.
Hubbard.
Yes.
Giglio.
Seeing as the $1,050,000 in the community benefit fund is not going to be used to purchase the Sweezy building, and $175,000 has already been taken out for the pattern book, I know the need that we have for the senior buses, and so I will support this resolution, yes.
Wooten.
Of course, yes.
Jen Smith.
Yes, I'm very happy to move this forward as part of the Community Benefit Fund money. They have had 5 vans to help transport our seniors. 3 of them are in incredibly poor condition, and 1 of them is out of service due to an engine. The other one has about 171,000 miles on it. So to be able to get our seniors to the senior center and to programs and to go shopping, I think is very important. So I'm happy to have this move forward. I just wanted to correct one thing. The pattern book is not coming out of the Community Benefit Fund money. That's coming out of another fund. So I just wanted to correct that for the record.
Okay, resolution.
If you've seen our senior buses, they last about 50 years, so it's a good one.
Resolution 651 is adopted. Resolution 652.
G&Z Retirement Community Lateral Water Main Extension Project, number 81852, budget adjustment. So moved.
I'll second.
Moved and seconded, vote please.
Kent.
Yes.
Hubbard.
Yes.
Giglio.
Yes.
Wooten.
Yes.
Jen Smith.
Yes.
Resolution adopted. Resolution 653.
Iglesia La Nueva Jerusalem Water Service Installation Project 81957. So moved. Don't ask me to
Second.
repeat it.
Moved and seconded, vote please.
Kent.
Yes.
Hubbard.
Yes.
Giglio.
Yes.
Wooten.
Yes.
Jen Smith.
Yes.
Resolution adopted. Resolution 654.
Yeah, I just want to go back to I'm looking at the fiscal impact statement for the pattern book, and it is being taken out of the trust and agency security deposit account TA1645T336-0000, which is the community benefit fund. So I'm just,
Bill, would you like to address that?
Well, I can't think of anything more community benefit than a pattern book.
I do, but I just wanted to be clear, it's not coming out of the Community Benefit Fund from the,
Okay, if it is.
I know.
So there was $1.5 million that we had received. $1.05 was put into the community benefit fund. That's what's in those trust and agency accounts. The additional $450 is still in trust and agency, but it wasn't put into the community benefit fund. It's still sitting in trust and agency, but not in that fund.
but it was all part of the same
No.
transaction.
No, it was not. There was one payment was for a contract for a Gentile line, which went under one of our roads, and the other one was a community benefit agreement to offset some of the issues, such as, there was the solar went into an industrial property, and we weren't getting jobs out of there, and a few other things, and that's where the community benefit money came from, which is separate and apart from the payments that were made.
For the Gentile.
Yes.
Okay.
Thank you, Bill.
Still the same transaction.
Okay, I'll move on to resolution
Still
654.
$175,000 of taxpayer money. Authorizes notice to bidders, rehabilitation of plant number 4, contract G, Riverhead Water District. So moved.
Seconded?
Moved and seconded, vote please.
Kent.
Yes.
Hubbard.
Yes.
Giglio.
Yes.
Wooten.
Yes.
Jen Smith.
Yes.
Resolution adopted. Resolution 655.
Reinstates a senior water treatment plant operator 1B. So moved.
Seconded?
Moved and seconded, vote please.
Kent.
Yes.
Hubbard.
Yes.
Giglio.
Yes.
Wooten.
Yes.
Jen Smith.
Yes.
Resolution adopted. Resolution 656.
Rescinding and ratifying an agreement with an employee. So moved.
Second.
Moved and seconded, vote please.
Kent.
Yes.
Hubbard.
Yes.
Giglio.
Yes.
Wooten.
Yes.
Jen Smith.
Yes.
Resolution adopted. Resolution 657.
Scheduling public hearing to amend Chapter 301, Article 52 of the Riverhead Town Code entitled Commercial Solar Energy Production Systems. So moved.
Seconded?
Moved and seconded, vote please.
Kent.
Yes.
Hubbard.
Yes.
Giglio.
Yeah, I want to thank Catherine and the Code Revision Committee for revisiting this and for putting this public hearing up. It's something that I've wanted to do for quite some time, and I'm glad that we're rescheduling the public hearing after it's been cleaned up. Yes.
Wooten.
Yes.
Jen Smith.
Yes.
Resolution adopted. Resolution 658.
Schedules public hearing to amend Chapter 225 of the Riverhead Town Code entitled Environmental Quality Review. So moved.
Seconded?
Moved and seconded, vote please.
Kent.
Yes.
Hubbard.
Yes.
Giglio.
It's the parking from secret from 50 to allow buildings that already have 50.
Yes.
Wooten.
Yes to the public hearing.
Jen Smith.
Yes.
Resolution adopted. Resolution 659.
Ratifies execution of MOA between the Town of Riverhead and the Civil Service Employees Association Incorporated, Local 1000, AFSCME, AFL-CIO, Riverhead Unit of the Suffolk Local. So moved.
Seconded.
Moved and seconded, vote please.
Kent.
Yes.
Hubbard.
Yes.
Giglio.
Yes.
Wooten.
Yes.
Jen Smith.
Yes.
Resolution adopted. Resolution 660.
This mine?
This-
Ratifies is that mine?
Yes.
Ratifies execution of MOA between the Town of Riverhead and the Civil Service Employees Association, Local 1000, AFSCME, AFL-CIO, Riverhead Unit of the Suffolk Local 852. So moved.
Second.
Moved and seconded, vote please.
Kent.
Yes.
Hubbard.
Yes.
Giglio.
Yes.
Wooten.
Yes.
Jen Smith.
Yes.
Resolution adopted. Resolution 661.
Pays the bills. So moved.
Seconded?
Moved and seconded, vote please.
Kent.
Yes.
Hubbard.
Yes.
Giglio.
Yes.
Wooten.
Yes.
Jen Smith.
Yes.
Resolution adopted.
At this time, I'd ask anybody from the public that would like to come up and address the board to please come forward.
I go get games on this stuff.
Robert Skinner, 14 Island Circle, Jamesport. I guess I'm going to direct this to Supervisor Jen Smith, please. Has the board, have you been able to have any discussions or contact even with the Eastern Region Helicopter Council?
Yes, Jeff Smith did give us a call back. We're trying to schedule a meeting. I think Patrick, we don't have a date yet for the meeting. But we're trying to do a public forum meeting where they'll come and we'll have a few people here and then we can answer questions back and forth. So, we haven't had a date, but they have responded to us and have indicated that they will come and meet with us.
Well done.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you. And we'll make sure they don't fly in, how's that?
That would be next.
And seeing nobody else coming forward, can I have a first and second to close the meeting?
I'll make a motion to close, and thank you to the Boy Scouts for coming out.
Yes.
I make a motion to adjourn.
All right.
Second?
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? So carried.